Hey everybody, it's Paul Stevens here again with iGo Sales and Marketing. I know it's been a while since I've done a recording, but I'm back again. I've been so busy helping out a lot of people from the YouTube channel who have contacted me for help with their CRM installation. So, and I've learned a lot of different businesses, a lot of different industries. But today I thought instead of doing a how-to video, which I know I have lots of them and lots of different things in SuiteCRM how to do them. Today I thought I'd show you a video of some of the things I've been up to recently, customizations with SuiteCRM, to give you some ideas of some of the customizations you can do with SuiteCRM after you install it. Now, many of these are not straightforward that you can do in Studio. You kind of need a developer to help you out with it, and of course I'm happy to do that if you reach out to me. But I'm going to show you just a number. I got about 9 different things here on my list here to show you that you can do as customizations in SuiteCRM. Okay, so before we get going, just a reminder, if you like my channel, you like my videos, please like and subscribe. It really helps me out. I'll put some links down below to contact me if you do need some help or you want to reach out to me. Okay, all right, so let me make myself smaller and out of the way here. All right, so we're on the home screen of SuiteCRM here, but I kind of want to show you just a few customizations that I've done. This is kind of like my development test thing that I set up before I start working on clients' systems to make sure as proof of concept things work. And I got a number of things on here. So one of the things I wanted to show, because this applies to a lot of business, but billable hours. So billable hours, I mean, SuiteCRM is not really an accounting system, but often you want to track billable hours. You want to, you're working with a client, you want to know how many hours you spend with them, and you want to keep track of it, okay? So you can create custom modules in SuiteCRM, and I've created a billable hours module here, and you'll see I've got a couple examples of billable hours here in the system, and they're linked to an account. You could also have a relationship, for example, to meetings. So if you had a coaching call or something with a client, you could add billable hours to that. And then, or you're working on a project, you could relate the billable hours to the project. And then you have some really good backup about where the hours were spent and what you did. And you can even use reports to generate billing summaries by client. Okay, so let's have a look at a billing record. So this is a billing record, so it's investigate and close a case, for example, okay? Now the status is unbilled. I'm just going to edit this so we can see all the different statuses. But so the way you would use this is you create the record, and obviously it's unbilled. At the end of the month or the end of the week, whenever you bill your client, you create it to billed, and that's really the only 2 status, unbilled or billed. But you may have a third status, like it's on hold, maybe the client's disputing the billing or something, okay? or you're not going to bill it till later when the whole project's done or something like that. But that's really the only 3 statuses. So you can always run a report of all the unbilled hours by customer, and that's basically an invoice, right? Or you're back up to an invoice. So the next thing you might want to do here is, I've related this to the account. So if I go to the account, for example, I'm just going to close that. I'll have a link to the account if I open that up. And then in accounts, I'm going to have a billing listing down here. I've got a lot of test stuff going on, so I've got lots. But we're going to find billable hours here, and we'll see a list of all the billable hours for that customer. And again, you can customize the subpanel layout. So maybe, obviously, you probably want things like the value and the hours and things like that. But you can customize that as well. Again, it's just for demonstration purposes of some of the things that you can do. Okay, so if we go back to our billable hours, it's also linked to a case, okay, because this billable hour had to do with a case. So I can open up the case, and you'll see in the case, there will be a summary of billable hours as well, okay? So that's linked to the case. And again, you can modify the subpanel layout to however makes sense for you. right? So one more cool thing in billable hours here. So this is a calculated field here that I've done with JavaScript and some PHP in the back end. But basically, I'm going to want to calculate out what is the total number of hours, right? Or the total billing. So if I worked for 10 hours, okay, at $95, then the total billing is going to be $950. You see how it calculates that on the screen? Or maybe it's $75, okay? I've also you can also figure in currency into the calculation and use the currency exchange rate and all that kind of stuff. In this simple example, I didn't. It's just 10 times 75 is $750. But this type of calculation works anywhere. Maybe you want to calculate out sales commissions on opportunities or anything like that. That's totally doable. So when I save the record, you'll see that it saves the proper amount here. Okay, so that's couple things I want to show you: billable hours and also calculated fields. Another cool thing that I've done here is subpanel filtering. Okay, so it's I find it most useful in projects. So you may have a project where you've got a lot of subtasks. Okay, so I often let's say I'm building a website design project or something like that. I might have like 30 or 40 subtasks. So it's kind of difficult. I mean, you can kind of sort it by status, but it's not the greatest. Okay, actually let's make one of these statuses something different. Let's make this one completed, just so I can show you how it works. Okay, so I'm going to go back here to the project. I'll just refresh the page since I made the change. Okay, and you can see I have one complete here. But if you had 10 not started, 10 completed, 10 in progress, and you just want to see the stuff that maybe is not started, you don't want to see the completed one, right? You want to filter this. So I've added a filter here where you can just search by completed. Right? So if I do that, I only see the completed ones. If I go back to not started, I'm only going to see the ones that aren't started. Okay, so that's really helpful in managing what's in your subpanel, especially if you have a lot of records. So I find it useful in project tasks. I have some clients where they have opportunities, or not opportunities, but customers that might have like hundreds of invoices. And it's useful to sort the invoices by status or product or recency or something like that, this week, invoices this week sort of thing. So you can do all that with these subpanel filters. So that's another cool thing, customization, that we were able to do. Okay, here's another thing that people don't normally think about as a CRM, but you can manage your logistics with CRM as well. So there's a quoting module, so you give your customer a quote, and then the customer says, yeah, I want it, right? So then it becomes an order. But then if you have to ship it, you don't want to have to go and have a whole other system to track and manage shipments and carriers and all that kind of stuff. So I built a logistics module. Okay, so orders are still orders. They're like invoices. I just changed the name to orders because I find that more relevant. Okay. And you're going to have carriers. So these are like the trucking companies or package companies or whoever you get to deliver the shipments. And then each order is going to become a shipment, or it may become 2 shipments or 3 shipments. Like let's say, for example, you get an order for 3 truckloads worth of material. A truckload might be 3 shipments. Okay. So orders and shipments are not necessarily the same thing. And then, so the way this would work is you have an order, for example. Okay, so I forget which one I used here for demonstration, but let's see. I think it's this one. Okay. So here's a truckload of light bulbs. Okay, so I had a quote where I won the truckload of light bulbs. And then I got the order for the truckload of light bulbs, okay? And the status, the customer paid for it. You can manage the order that way, right? And then I created a shipment for this order, okay? So maybe you might want to have another status here for after it's paid. It might make sense for like another status like shipment arranged, or created a shipment or something like that, kind of a status, right? So I created the shipment here for a truckload of light bulbs. Okay, so now I go look at my shipment, and the shipment is 20,000 pounds, this truckload of light bulbs. The shipment status is new, so that means it hasn't been dealt with. But you would manage these by status. So for example, it's either new, or it's assigned to a carrier, you've picked a carrier for it, or it's in transit, so it's on the road, it hasn't been delivered, but it has been picked up, right? And then the next stage would be delivered, where it's delivered to the client. And then you probably have a stage complete where you confirm it's been delivered and you invoice the client for the shipment, or pay the carrier, or whatever. But that gives you an idea kind of how you would manage this kind of thing, right? So here's my shipment. You can see it's pick up from this address, and you can have this linked to your list of shippers or companies, right? And it's shipping to the Hammer Group, for example. And again, you can pick who it makes sense to ship this to, right? I'm going to just leave it as it was. And then you might have a delivery contact, and again, that's a database in SuiteCRM. So you have everything you need for a shipment. You could go as far as creating a often, it's been years since I worked in the transportation industry, but often you might want to create like a fax or a legal document to send to the carrier for pickup. They're still very paper driven. So you could even set up a PDF print here of the shipment, and like sort of like a bill of lading or something if you wanted to. Okay. And then you can see that this is the order that's related to it. And if I assigned a carrier to it, I would relate the carrier to the shipment as well. I think I've done that here in this case. Here it is, the carrier. So when I pick who the carrier is, it's going to open up my list of carriers, and I'm going to pick one. I just downloaded a whole bunch of carriers from Mississauga, where I live here. So I would assign that to JB Courier, for example, and then, because I've assigned it, I may want to now change this to assigned to carrier, right? So I can manage the shipment. So then I would go to like my list of shipments, for example, and I can see that these two are assigned to a carrier, so I know they haven't been picked up. This one has been delivered, and this one I haven't yet done anything with. It's just assigned. I have to figure out which carrier to assign it to. Let's say this carrier called and said, "Thank you, I've picked it up." Okay, then you would change the status to in transit. Okay, and then when it now you're managing that it's in transit, and you would follow up and see whether or not it needs to be, or it is delivered, I guess, is the next stage, right? So you can manage your shipments that way. You have a list of carriers you can manage, and all the shipments are related back to an order, which is like an invoice, right? Okay, so that was reasonably easy to set up. Of course, in a production environment, you would get a lot more complex with it, but this just shows you the bare bones kind of structure of it, right? Another cool thing we did, Google Charts. So the reporting module in SuiteCRM is okay. It's good at some things and not good at others. The charts are, again, okay. I find them sometimes difficult to use, and they're not super pretty. They can be added to your dashboard. I don't know if I have any on my dashboard here, but another thing that's possible here, instead of creating a report in SuiteCRM and then creating a chart and then adding the chart to your dashboard, what we can do is we can create, or we can use Google Charts. Okay, so Google Charts sort of provides the layout and the JavaScript for the chart, and in the background you just write the PHP to, or not PHP, but the SQL to grab the information from the database, and then you output it as JavaScript in a format that Google can read, and then you get all these fancy charts. Okay, so you can get these like sort of speedometer kind of charts, like so for example, how many leads you converted, how many leads are dead, how many leads are won, kind of thing, right? You can do stuff like how many calls today, whatever. They're great if you're like shooting for targets kind of thing, right? And you can set these up and use real live data from your system. Okay, so here's another one where I just closed one this month, closed one the quarter, what's in the pipeline, so open opportunities that are this month and open opportunities that are this quarter. Okay. And again, that's all live data right from the CRM, pulls it right out of the database. So if you as the database changes, these charts change in real time. Okay. Another cool thing here is a graph chart, and again, this is demo data, so I don't have like a whole bunch of regular data in it. But what this is doing is I'll do all users, a little bit more data, you get a better sense. But it's comparing the previous year to the current year. Is a line graph. 2 different years, and I'm able to switch it back and forth. And again, you can change the view. This is all done in the background, and the query changes when you change the drop down. Okay, so that's pretty cool. Super excited about that. Customers really like to have one place to go and see what they need to see in one cool dashboard. Okay. Here's another one, just a pie chart here of leads by source. Okay. And it just gives you a sense of where your leads are coming from. Okay. So these are open leads by source. Again, you could do things like all users or my users or, my department or whatever. You could filter the data in the query as much as you want. And again, you get these cool looking charts here. Here's another one that might seem confusing at first, but it's actually kind of an interesting chart here. So this is called a sand key, and basically what it's doing here is it's saying, well, where do leads come from? Okay, and then who owns the lead? So like, who do they go through? They go through the person that deals with the lead, right? And then what are the results of that, right? So I can see here by sales rep sort of which ones are converting, the most closed won leads, right? And where do they come from? Like you can see here, there's a bunch that come from the website through Paul Stevens, right? Okay. And Sally, gets a bunch, well, I guess I don't have this one documented as a source, but again, just test data. But you can sort of see the value of this. You can really see, what your reps are doing, where their leads are coming from, who's closing the most, what sources are generating the most customers, all in one view here, right? And again, this is live, real time, so it's pretty cool. All right, so that's Google Charts, and that's some stuff we can do as well. So another thing that I often get requests for is you have data in one module and you want to see the data in another module. Okay. So, there's a number of ways of doing that. Typically in SuiteCRM, for example, if you want to see the quotes linked to an opportunity, you would go to the subpanel, click on your quote, and you go to the quote, and you can open the quote, and you have the data, right? So, it's useful, it's linked. But, there comes a point in time where you don't want to keep clicking through 15 different modules to see the information you need to make a decision, right? So, what I've done here, let's go have a look at quotes, for example. Okay? So, quotes are generally linked to an opportunity, and I think it was this one. Okay? I'm going to open that quote up. And I'm going to go to the opportunity. Okay, so normally from the opportunity here, if I want to see what's on the quote, I have to kind of scroll down. I have to go to the quote, and then I have to open up the quote, and then I have to wait till it loads. Normally it's a little faster than that. And then, look at the line items and then go through that. So it can take a lot of time when I just want to know, like, what did I quote last and what was on the quote, right? And if I'm a sales rep, I'm normally not an estimator, so I'm not in the quotes module. I'm in the opportunities module most of the time, right? So what we can do is we can just pull the information in from the quote, okay? And this can be done two ways. You can make it like a database field. Like if you want to use this information in the opportunity module for reporting, you would obviously like save it in the module, right? But you can also make it like a non-database field that just displays the information from the quote. And that would be useful in a case where you don't really need to report on it on the opportunity side, but you just need it there to see what's going on, okay? So in this case, I have like a non-recurring charge that's associated with the invoice, and I have like the line item summary, so it just outputs a list of all the items on the quote, and the term maybe like 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, whatever, right? Okay, so, and all that information comes from the related quote. Okay, so you can see that's super useful. It saves the user a whole bunch of clicks if this is a common lookup that you do on this screen. Okay, sorry about that, my phone's beeping off. All right, so one other thing I get a lot is like people have in list view lists of leads or contacts, or they want to know which ones are hot leads or which ones are new leads or whatever, just by looking at it. Now I normally just say just use the filter, right? Because that's normally how I do it, but people like colors, okay? So what I've done in this case, and I can do this with any status or by any logic that makes sense, but what I've done here is I have a list of leads, and then all the leads that are new, I've put a red box around, okay? So if I sort it by another status, you'll see not everybody has the red box, only new leads do, right? I think I might have all new leads in here, but we'll see. Yeah, oh, you know why? I got a filter going on, okay? So let's have a look at converted leads, okay? You're gonna see there's no boxes here. But maybe you want to have like converted leads like in a blue box or something, right? That's totally possible as well. And then new leads in a red box. So you could do stuff like that, color code all these list views, and it could be leads, contacts, accounts, it doesn't matter. Any list view can be color coded that way by fairly simple development, okay? The last thing I wanted to show you guys for today in terms of customization is dynamic drop-downs. Now, I have a video on this about sort of how to do it, one of my older videos. But this is kind of a cool customization. So often I get the thing where clients have a few different types of products they sell or services, and the sales stages are not often the same thing, right? So they often want to have different sales stages for different products. And then they often want like, well, can I do, a different opportunity module for these different opportunities and things like that. So, I think it's more complex than it needs to be. Basically what we can do here is, so I've set up like either consulting or software, for example, right? As two different opportunity types. Okay. So if it's consulting, you have these sales stages, okay? And if it's software, you have different sales stages, okay? And then you can run your reports by type, for example, software, and what sales stage the software opportunities are in, kind of thing, right? So, that makes sense. Here's another one I set up for example, like type A, you get stage A, A1, A2, A3. If it's type B, you get stage B1, B2, B3, right? So that's how dynamic field will work, and there's a lot of useful applications for that, and one of them is definitely the opportunity if you have different stages. So that's a quick one today, just kind of going through some customizations that are possible. I help people do this all the time, and I'm not just like the tech side of things. I think anyway, one of my major strengths is being able to sit with a client and talk through what their sales process is, and then be able to turn that sales process into like a CRM system and automate it and capture the information that needs to be captured with the least amount of work for the sales reps as possible, right? Because nobody likes data entry for the sake of data entry. So that's a little bit about me. If you need help with your CRM, or you would like to reach out to me for any reason, ask me a question, I'll put links to my website down below. You can catch up with me there. There's contact forms, all kinds of stuff, ways you can get a hold of me. You know, if you like the video, if you like my other videos, please do me a favor, like, subscribe, that kind of stuff. It really helps out my channel and helps me make more videos when more people are watching. All right, have a good one, and thank you so much for watching.